anybody not have some feedback? Okay, good. So I'm going to actually ask 6 questions, and so you need to put a response on each page. So start a new sticky note each time. This is not, there's no multiple choice quiz here. I'm not grading this, so it's all okay. You cannot fail. So what or who is the most important thing in your life? Now, if you take 2 minutes to answer this, there is going to be some concern raised by me. And you cannot cheat. Emily tried to cheat and give 2 answers before. Mm-hmm. So I'll send you back. I'm not going to tell you it's cat, so it's okay.
You said one thing, right?
One thing, who or what is the most important? Stop writing. What do you enjoy doing the most? It can be anything, there's no judgment. You can have, eating chocolate, drinking, shopping, whatever you like. My next question, what is the one thing you would be prepared to give up? I personally would put chocolate here.
In order to...
You would or wouldn't be prepared?
One thing you would not be prepared
Oh, would
to
not.
give up.
Okay.
Would not.
Okay.
Would not.
Oof.
For me, that could be the type. It could be champagne and or chocolate. Okay, question 4. What are you the most proud of? Sorry. We need more thinking time for anybody. Okay, I'll give you 10 more seconds. Don't worry, your chair is not going to like fall through the floor or anything like that if you don't get it.
There's the sign-in sheet.
Oh,
If your name's not on there, just add it to the bottom.
okay.
Okay, question 5. What is it that you want to achieve in your career by the time you retire?
Career.
Career. So what is like that goal that you've set yourself? And it does not matter if you plan to retire at 35 or 65. That would be nice if we're all retiring at 35 or 40. Question number 6 is using that same point in time in terms of when you're retiring in your career, what do you want to have achieved in your personal life by then? I'm asking the big questions today, aren't I? different answers. So question 1, which was who or what is the most important thing to you? If you answered friends or family, put it up in this back left corner. So it's got to put this together. Yeah, friends or family. And try not to break the furniture if you do so.
You didn't say that earlier.
Okay, if you had something like your faith, religion, put it in a separate pile down here. If it's your animal, another pile. Okay, I wasn't sure which way Emily was going here. If it is work, as in your career or work, put it just here. I think I'm missing at least one person, yes? If somebody not put, can I just get you to create your own little pile and I could be here for 10 minutes trying to guess.
No, it's the obvious one.
Ah, okay. That's an awesome one. We didn't have that one before. Okay, so by far the greatest weighting is in terms of family and friends. I've got one which is my health, one which is career, and one which is my church. So a bit of a spread, but interesting so far. One that is kind of about the career. Okay, so question number 2 is, what do you enjoy doing the most? So if it is a recreational activity, so reading, shopping, cooking, watching movies, anything like that, put it in a pile now. Go off and stick it on in a pile. And Jacqueline can organise where that pile starts. Being outside, eating. Oh, I like the eating one. Big fan of that one. Okay. So again, we've got a pretty good representation in terms of recreational activity. Did anybody have work in there? Bit. Okay. So those of you who did not put a recreational activity, can you go and put your sticky tags up and let's have a look and see what else we've got? So being around others, hanging out with friends and family, spending time with my sister, learning. So lots of kind of things that either involve other people, and some of these obviously recreational activities involve family and friends, I'm guessing anyway. Learning, obviously quite social to some degree, especially if you're at our program. So yeah, nothing really focused in terms of being in the workplace and working your asses off from 7 o'clock to 5 o'clock as a minimum each and every day. Okay, so what is one thing you would not be prepared to give up? If it's something like friends and family, put your sticky pad up now, a sticky note. If it is something to do with a recreational activity, and that can be including eating and drinking. I define recreational activity quite broadly. Oh, I like it.
Like really though.
We have sleep. I think that's a great recreational activity. So people are not prepared to give up free time, beer, travel, dessert. Love that one.
Yes.
Sleep, free time, or talking. Has anybody not put theirs up so far? That's okay. We are at the University of Michigan. We do nerdy very well. And then we have, water. Clearly you're not going to move to California. Okay, so really is around family, support systems, freedom, and things obviously we love and enjoy doing, and water, which kind of is an essential. Okay, so what are you most proud of? If it is something to do with your education, put it up on the board now. majority. Jacqueline, you're going to have to come create your own little one.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so people I'm most proud of. My goals, my education, going back to school, growth during undergrad, grad school, accomplishments through education, career, educational achievement, professional decisions. Who says that one? Can I get you to expand on that one?
Yeah, just like how I came to the field that I'm wanting to get into healthcare administration, like nothing else that I knew at the time was doing that. So it was outside of everything that I tried to do. I had my undergrads in science.
Navigating a new career path, really. Okay, then we have my cycling trip, my ability when it comes to interacting with others and relating, which, you know, again, a lot of these are about relationships. And if I ask in terms of education, let me guess that part of what's important about education and what you've achieved is based on your interactions with others and the support groups and your friends that you've actually built here. Does that sound about right? It's not so much about how hard you work each and every day, although that is obviously part of it in terms of getting to where you want to be. So question 5 was, what do you want to achieve by the end of your career, however defined? I'm just going to get everybody to come and put up their sticky note. Was this a really challenging question to ask?
Yeah.
Who would
I don't
actually
even know what I want to do.
Well, yeah. We'll get to that part of it.
Like next to you.
I like the positive impressions. Good impressions.
Okay, so these are your ultimate career objectives. Did anybody put down that they want to win a Nobel Prize? Let me just kind of ask that question. No? Nobody wants to win a Nobel Prize? Hey, you get $1 million prize money. So, I reckon it's a pretty good objective. Okay. Community of patients and families through my practice, build a positive, proactive workplace, own a business, make someone else's life better, make an impact, sustainable program at all healthcare organizations, write a book, training in public health and personal stories, and name such food. So it's really interesting. A lot of those are about betterment of either society or other persons as well. It's not so much about a particular objective like an award or a prize that you're seeking to actually achieve. So put up your last ones in terms of just here. What is it you want on a personal level by the time you finish your careers? So who's given much thought to this question? What you want to achieve personally within the next 30 or 40 years? Jacqueline had?
Well, mine's kind of simple. I mean, simple but hard.
So, contentment with my life, married and children, strong relationships, no regrets in letting relationships fade or die, for my own family, husband and children. I'm guessing that wasn't yours.
Not mine.
I mean, I could have been jumping to conclusions here.
Not that there's anything wrong with it.
Open people's minds to more liberal, inclusive ideas, personal, start a family, travel. Have a sustained life to support travel. I'm so with that one.
Yeah.
Completely. Notice how this all involves actually having a balance really early on in terms of with your work life. And notice how so much in terms of the things that you value and place value on actually don't involve the workplace at all. And with this group, what I'm actually working out is work is going to be about sustaining your travel habits.
Yes.
That you will work to actually be able to pay to get on that boat or that plane, and it will enable you to have a lifestyle that you can actually achieve all of these type of things. So would it be fair to say that if you had to put a weighting on these two, that this pile in terms of what do you want to achieve personally actually is more important for the most part than what is in this pile? You don't have to agree with me. But which is going to bring you, I guess, the greatest happiness? I personally would have it in this pile.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I know, like, my
career goals of a woman are really open-ended. That's part of why I don't want to get too specialized. There's, you know, making it about part of that is
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like making a difference is actually what the career goals are really about. And why is it that making a difference is important? Is it because it brings you then personal satisfaction and a sense of achievement also in your personal life and helps potentially bring that balance?
to a degree.
For me, yes.
Yeah. For some people, I think there'll be variation on that spectrum in terms of for some people that's really important in terms of that sense of balance on both sides. But it is interesting that in all of this, nobody really wanted to be working 90 hours a week and seeing that as being fundamental in terms of then ultimately getting personal satisfaction. Emily was the one person who put career in terms of the most important. So, you know, but her cat did get in a tie. I just told her she wasn't allowed to cheat and put her cat in there as well. So even there's kind of like some sort of trade-off in terms of where you're. So the question is, how then do you actually achieve that balance? And as I said to the last group, I am the worst person to ask because I still struggle with it, without a doubt. But I guess the point of this exercise is sometimes you actually need to put things down on paper and actually realize their importance and think about how they balance against other competing objectives before you can really start to think of how do you then map out your life so you can prioritize, whether it's your friends or family or faith or education or, you know, cooking classes and travel. So I know that's just, I guess, the starting point. And I guess now's a good time that we can kind of chat about tools or ways potentially to help manage that as you progress through the next, let me just put it as 4 decades of your working life. I can retire in 30 years. That's a really sad kind of calculation to make. Although I'm just going to sell my husband to like the pharmaceutical sector and make him like keep me. That's he's a lawyer. So no questions or comments or things I can teach you or mistakes I've made that I can teach you so you don't make the same mistakes.
I guess I have a question. So I was the one that put up travel, and for me, at least right now, that's the most important thing in my life. And I'm trying to figure out how going into work I can negotiate that work-life balance with my employer. Like, is it possible to go into a job and say, you know, while I'm here, I will work very hard for you, but like every year or so, I might want 3 weeks off in a row or 2 weeks off in a row. Is it possible to?
So let me tell you this. You need to move to a country beyond the United States where you have 4 weeks of annual leave each and every year. Australia or Europe is looking really good for you.
I was in Australia for a year, and I didn't want to leave.
Where you have 4 weeks of annual leave and 15 paid sick days a year, which accumulate. So yeah, you're in the wrong country to start off with. You know, that's a really, you know, that's a shocking answer to give you.
No, it's true.
But it's a realistic answer that the work-life balance in this country to start off with is screwed. Like without a doubt. Any country that really only allows you 2 weeks of annual leave, especially if, and many of you have got a family, like as one of your ideas, it doesn't work. You know, there are trade-offs that have to be made in terms of that work or the life in order to manage that. So I think you're right. If you go into a job and you actually negotiate up front, there are ways and means to actually get that extra leave. And that might be that you take a 0.8 position, for example, and rather than working 4 days a week and having 3-day weekends each and every week, you say, I'm going to work that 0.8 in 10 months and you'll be in the office each and every day. And then you have those 2 months that are still paid because you kind of accrued the hours really early. And there are ways to do it. But I think it's a lot harder to get that balance if you're already in the job, unless you're at a point like a promotion. So kind of knowing these type of things, what it is that's really important to you and what will sustain balance in your life, and using like the leverage of a negotiation point at the start of the job is a really important and powerful thing that you can do. And don't be afraid to negotiate. That you are a valuable commodity. And I'll use that kind of very, you know, business term, but you are. And, you know, once a company hires you, they invest a lot of money in you in terms of training and getting you up to speed. So you can leverage that at different points in order to get the things like travel, extended periods of time. But if you're also away, so when I was doing my PhD, by law, I was only allowed to work 15 hours a week from the professor. But what we would do, and he was hopeless, so I always worked probably 30 or 40 hours a week for him. So what he would do is he knew I loved to travel. So we would go to a conference, and it might have been in San Diego. He would then pay for me to stay in San Diego for an extra 4 or 5 days, and he would pick up all the costs associated with it, so I could then travel. And you know, the university picked that up. So instead of getting paid, he paid for my travel. So you know, sometimes you have to be a little bit smart in the negotiations, and kind of think about what is the flexibility within the organisation in order to get what it is that you like. Become an academic, get a 9-month contract, and then you just have 3 months of the year to do, well, allegedly, what you guys probably think we do is nothing for 3 months. But you know, there are jobs that really do have more of a seasonal component to it.
So I think I'm sorry, it's a great place to stop. The closing remarks are going to happen in about 5 minutes, so we want to give enough time for everybody to make it down there.
Can Kelly just ask one question? Because I think she's got a burning question.
So as you said, the work-life balance in this country is kind of screwed. Do you think as public health professionals there's ways we can argue to change this system, improve it for everyone's health and well-being? Should we just be like, okay, it's better for me to get out?
No, I think that's a really important point, and I think the only way, I think it needs to change, absolutely. And stress, chronic conditions, especially obesity, hypertension, you know, they're all reflective of this lack of work-life balance in the United States, and it's going to take some people in senior leadership positions, and that could be in the health system, it could be in a not-for-profit, it could be in government, to actually say, let's look at the data from countries overseas who have that greater flexibility and freedoms, and why can't we do pilots or try and just actually see? So it takes some people to actually stand up and be the change agent, and I think there is the data actually to support the argument, but it's people being willing to put their head out and say, hey, there is actually a better way to do business. And everything that shows, if you look at the OECD, everything shows that in these countries, productivity is actually higher because the people get to relax, they get to unwind, they get to spend that time with family and friends, and that when they're in the workplace, they're more productive as a result. So it's just instituting change and fighting the political reality at the moment. But I think there will be a time where you can do it.
It's slowly, I mean, there are some slow changes happening.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, it's just, you know, that high level, like, you know, federal, it'll be a while. But okay, I'm going to shut up now, and so we can get back to closing remarks. Thank you, Emily, for being such a good timekeeper.